Good evening, everyone, and we are very grateful that our guest for the evening, Dr. Sanjukta Dasgupta, is already there with us. And this is going to be one beautiful evening, like the various other evenings that we have enjoyed at GIEWEC in the company of Keki and Daruwala, in the company of Bashmi Fraser. And today we have Professor Sanjukta Dasgupta with us. And to set the evening in motion and to welcome her formally, I would invite the president of GIEWEC, Professor Jaideep Sarangi. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, all GIEWEC family members and our respected guest for this evening, Professor Sanjukta Dasgupta. And it's an amazing journey with GIEWEC family. Uh, and we had physical literary festivals or poetry festivals in different parts of India, and starting with Kerala, and we traveled in different places, and we had different flavors and moved to the west. We were in Pondicherry and we were in Tamil Nadu as well, and different Mumbai for a couple of times. So it was a wonderful journey with GIEWEC, and we remember all stalwarts who delivered the keynote lectures in our programs, in our literary festivals, including none other than Jayanta Mahapatra, then Arundhati Subramaniam, Madam, and then many others, and many distinguished scholars and on Indian English poetry, many poets of great repute who are the inspiration for generations writing Indian English poetry. And today we have with us great Professor Sanjukta Dasgupta, who is not only a poet but also a great academician and mentor of many, many young and half old and old intellectuals who are dedicating their lives for studying and things. And she is also the convener of English Board Sahitya Academy, New Delhi. And she has so many things to take because she is also heading now the as the president of the Executive Council of Intercultural Poetry and Performance Library based in Kolkata. And Sanjukta Di is not we often call her Sanjukta Di because she is simply an amazing personality that we talk of. And those who are not familiar with her must come to Kolkata and must come in contact with Sanjukta Di and come to know how humility and how approachable she is. And she is a genuine inspiration for all of us who are very closely associated with her. So this evening, we are really grateful to Sanjukta Di because she has kindly consented to give a keynote address for today's and grace the occasion as the chief guest. GIEWEC, Guild of Indian English Writers, Editors, and Critics, is a body of young, energetic, ever young, energetic minds who are dedicated to Indian writing in English. And in our motto is to promote Indian English writing into different corners and different shows, and also to support those who are working on Indian writing in English personally as well as collectively. We have a very important journal, Writers, Editors, Critics, WEC, and which has own accolade worldwide. And we have appreciation of GIEWEC and GIEWEC publications from different shores, including from Patricia Prime, New Zealand, to Professor Bashabi Fraser in Scotland, and to UK and US. And the readership, if we look into WEC, it has a wide range of readership, not only the academicians, but also the writers read the journal with rapt attention. So the performance of GIEWEC in last decade is an important thing and to make the nation proud of, and also to contribute a lot to Indian writing in English. And many members are very active. They're publishing in different fields. They're coming up with flash fiction, novels, poetry, and anthologies, and many more to come. So critical books on Indian writing in English. So it's a very active presence of GIEWEC, and which makes itself felt by the academicians, by the professors, and by the editors, and as well as by the publishers. And we have a publisher with us, Authors Press, Sudarshan Kechri, in this evening, and he is often we compare him with Pilal in the making because of his selfless dedication for the cause of promotion of Indian writing in English, and he takes the burden of love single-handedly and publishes it. And he publishes our journal WEC, and that's why it looks so elegant and reaches out everyone without saying. So thank you everyone. It's from Kerala to Kashmir and Rajasthan to Manipur. We have friends of GX, members from GX of GX family. We have patron member, we have then life member, and we have annual members and annual member for the WEC subscription as well. Thank you all. This evening is yours, and we are all eagerly waiting for Sanjukta's enlightening talk. And we would be very happy if she reads 5 or 6 of her recent poems because we are members of the fan club of Sanjukta because of her personality and her dedication for her, ardent fans and lovers. Thank you, and thank you, everybody. Over to Bashudhara.
Thank you, sir. And sir has rightly spoken about GIEWEC, the wonderful family that it is, the very active, buoyant, vibrant members that constitute it, and how grateful we are to have Professor Sanjukta Dasgupta as our mentor this evening. To carry this conversation further, I would like to invite the Secretary of GIEWEC, Professor K.V. Dominic, to kindly welcome our guest. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Basudhara. So, good evening to you once again. Very glad to meet you, Professor Samyukta Madam. So, after a long time, we are meeting again. And as Professor Jaideep has already detailed, Professor Sanjukta Dasgupta is such a great personality, one of the greatest professors in India now. And she is a poet, a writer, social writer, critic, and Professor Sanjukta Dasgupta has been my contact and my friend even before we started our GIEWEC. So when I was part and parcel of the Newman College, I have been an editor of IJPCL, and Madam has been sending her excellent articles and even poems for publication there. That way, we have been friends for a very long time. So I love her so much. So because of her gentleness, her humility, her love to others, not only a great writer, so humane and loving. Even to I was only a budding or editor. So in spite of all that, she was showering such a love to me, and such a great personality, loving personality, Professor Sanjukta Madam is. So very happy to be very hearty welcome to you, Madam, into our midst. About GIEWEC and other GIEWEC activities, what it is, etc., etc. Jaideep has told in detail. So I'm not going to detail it. You know it personally. So this online festival is the 4th one we are having this year. There is no other alternative of having a physical meeting. So we were conducting once in 2 months or 3 months that way. Fortunately, this is the 4th one this year we are having. And as we have already discussed in our meeting, general body meeting, next year also we will be having several such meetings since the physical meeting is practically impossible next year. And one word about our Sudarshanji, had it not been our publisher, we could not have go into such a high position. Our journal, it has been promoted by him. When the journal was printed and published from my own place, Todupuda, average cost of a journal was 20,000 to 25,000 rupees. See, this expenditure he has been meeting from his own pocket. He's a great humanitarian, humane man, so loving. So he is an asset to any group. Fortunately, he is in our group. Others. So we are much grateful to you, Sudarshanji, for your blessings and for your bounties and generosity you are showering to us. And moreover that, how many of our members have published from Odesh Press? I think almost some out of the 100 patron members we have, nearly 50 or more have publications from Odesh Press. See, at a very cheap rate. He is doing such a great favor to us. And Odesh Press has become an internationally acclaimed journal, acclaimed publisher. So that way, our books, which are easily published from his house, is something remarkable, a dream-like thing made possible by this great man. So we owe our gratitude to our member and publisher Sudarshanji. So I think, and one word about Basudhara. Usually I forget to mention about her contribution in the meeting. So she has been the anchor and she has been managing things in such a wonderful manner. But finally, I forget to mention a word about her. After that, I feel a regret. Oh my God, I didn't say a good word about the great things she is doing. So, but there are the way you are managing things. Even you are an event manager, you are anchoring things so smartly, so beautifully. So we are all immensely pleased at it. So we express our gratitude to you at this occasion. So having said all this, we are inviting Professor Sanjukta Das Madam for her talk on Indian English poetry, and then we will listen to her wonderful poems. Okay, then over to Basudhara.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And you need not thank me. It's an honor for me to belong to this wonderful family and to contribute in whatever way I can. And in fact, all of us are very grateful to Sudarshanji for the wonderful way that he brings out the journal every year. The journal, as many of you have rightly remarked, is a beauty to behold. We are all attracted by the smell of the new pages, by the wonderful texture and the wonderful aesthetic way that they are presented. And we hope that the journal under him and through him lives long. We would now move towards a formal introduction to our chief guest. And Sanjukta Di, you cannot stop me this time from giving a detailed introduction to you. So you have to put up with a 1 minute introduction. Professor Dr. Sanjukta Dasgupta is the convener, English Advisory Board, Sahitya Akademi, New Delhi, and also the President, Executive Committee of the Intercultural Poetry and Performance Library at ICCR, Kolkata. She was a visiting professor of Jagiellonian University, Poland, and has retired as the professor of the Department of English, as also the Dean, Faculty of Arts, Calcutta University, Kolkata. She is a poet, critic, and translator, and her articles, poems, short stories, and translations have been published in journals of distinction in India and abroad. She has authored and published several books. Her awards and grants include the British Council Charles Wallace Scholar Award, Fulbright Postdoctoral Research Fellowship, Fulbright Alumni Initiative Award, Fulbright Scholar in Residence, Australia-India Council Fellowship, Visiting Fellow at the Center for Women's Research and Gender Studies, University of British Columbia, Associate Fellow of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, Visiting Fellow at the Women's Studies and Development Center, University of Delhi, and so on. She has visited Nepal and Bangladesh as a member of the SAARC Writers Delegation and was invited by the Commonwealth Foundation to serve as co-judge and thereafter as chairperson for the Commonwealth Writers' Prize in the Eurasia region. She has visited Melbourne and Malta to serve on the Pan-Commonwealth jury panel. And there is much more to her that I would rather not document. We are very, very grateful that she has consented to be with us this evening, and we look forward to a wonderful conversation, as also to her reading her beautiful poems from her new collection, Unbound. Over to you, Sanjukta Di. You have to unmute. Do you have to unmute? Right.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. And before I start addressing myself to this wonderful platform of poets, editors, and critics, I would first like to thank the publisher of my book, which is edited by Joydeep. And that is this book. And thank you so much. This is my first chance of meeting you, at least picture to picture, not face to face. But I'm very happy that you accepted the proposal from Joydeep and you also published this book. And uh, it's a beautiful cover that you also sort of we selected a few and you just put it together. We insisted there should be four birds and there are four flying birds, and so altogether you have done such a wonderful job. I'm very grateful to you. And also, I think many of our IPPL poets and writers have also published from Authors Press. So, this evening, I would like to begin by uh, thanking all of you. It is so wonderful to join all of you who are present on this prestigious platform. I must thank the president of the Guild of English Writers, Editors, and Critics, the ever gracious Dr. Joydeep Sarangi, and the dynamic secretary of GIEWEC, Dr. KV Dominic, who just said that we have been friends for years. And I'm so glad I'm meeting a Dominic in person, because in school there was a Dominic Savio about whom we used to learn and also sing a song about him. So it's so good to meet Dominic in person and know him and find that, well, he is a literature enthusiast. And thank you all for this kind invitation to read some of my poems in this esteemed platform. I'm indeed overwhelmed, honored, and humbled. Yes, indeed, Indian English poetry has traveled through centuries from Derozio, Toruda, Sri Aurobindo to Pilal, Nissim Ezekiel, Kamla Das, Keki Darwala, Adil Jusawala, and Jayantu Mahapatro, among many, many others, spanning the colonial to the post-colonial, from globalization to the era of the fourth industrial revolution, the digital age. With every year, more and more Indian English poets are making their voices heard, as they are now confident that English is the linked language between the 28 states and 8 union territories of India. It is no longer the colonizer's tongue, but the global lingua franca. Yesterday, we had a session on poetry where Joydeep informed all of us about all the latest anthologies and the way in which Indian English poetry, in particular, is really making its presence felt not only in India but in the world. Even Sahitya Academy, the Arts Council of India, has recognized English as an Indian language, along with 23 vernacular languages. English is the official language also of Meghalaya, Nagaland, Sikkim, and Tripura. That is, it is the first language. It is the second official language of a number of states, including, which was great information for me also, including Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. As T.S. Eliot had stated, bad poets steal, good poets make it their own. We have made English our own language of creative expression. Right now, India has no national language linguistically, but we do have a national language. It is the empathetic national language of love and harmony. Contemporary Indian English poets are a very new group of refreshing, powerful voices, which include Mamangdai, Meena Kandaswamy, Arundhati Subramaniam, Bibhu Padhi, Sudeep Sen, Amit Shankar Saha, K. Srilata, Sharmila Ray, Boshudhara Roy, Jaideep Sarangi, Sufia Khatun, Ananya Chatterjee, K. Dominic, among many, many others. Indian English poetry has undergone a paradigmatic shift from the well-known racial binary of superiority and inferiority, of the positioning of white and black that had been regarded as a cultural norm and an integral part of establishment values in the previous centuries. Intersectionality defines every fiber of Indian English poetry, while at the same time it recognizes cosmopolitanism and transnationalism. I recently scribbled a few lines on the Indian English poet, or more generally, the Indian English writer, which I would like to share with you before I read out my published poems, all from Unbound, edited by Joydeep, and also curated in a very active manner by Boshudhara. So the Indian English writer is a poem that of late, I have been asked to give talks on Indian English writing, and suddenly these words spilled on the page. So I'll just share them with you. You all are all experts in the subject. So here are the lines. Once upon a time, English women and English men were here, there, everywhere. English reigned in every school and college. English governors reigned on our beloved soil. They ruled and punished and grabbed the spoils. They made us dance to their tunes. They entered our homes and minds. We wrote in English, not about their empress mother. We wrote in English about our enchained Indian mother. The jewels in their crown were stolen goods. Our brown skins retaliated in unforgiving mood. When they went at last, their intangible language refused to leave. So, true to our benevolent tradition, we gave English a home. True to form, English infiltrated, invaded, we returned the compliment promptly. Our words infiltrated their dictionaries. We fashioned English in our unique style. We claimed English and made it our own, not Anglo Indian, but Anglo Indianized. In these steaming millennial times, the Indian English writer rocks raps in rhyme. I'm not a resident non Indian. My roots are strong and deep. My DNA is stamped in every vein, my Aadhaar card and PAN card, my social security in every bus and every train. Just a minute, I've scrolled it so fast that it's disappeared. My identity in every ship and plane, the pages of my Indian passport flutter like the national flag in every domain. I am a regionalist, I am a cosmopolitan. I am an imaginative citizen of the real world. I am a netizen browsing the World Wide Web. I am the adhesive between my many Indian states. I am the link between the East and West. I am an Indian writer. I use 26 Roman alphabets in kaleidoscopic patterns. English is my wireless password, my visa between my home and the multilingual, wondrous world. So, this is just playing around with the main formal prosaic lecture. So, I just thought of penning these lines. The poem that I plan to read now is something that all of us experienced when in late March 2020, there was a declaration of a month-long national lockdown. Tens of thousands of daily wage migrant workers suddenly found themselves without jobs or a source of income when India announced a lockdown, as all of you know. Overnight, the cities they had helped build and run seemed to have turned their backs on them. The trains and buses which should have carried them home were suspended. As a result, people started walking home. The looming fear of hunger, men, women, children were walking, some cycling, some hitching rides. So the poem that I wrote around this period was called Walking Home. Suddenly, thousands and thousands of them became homeless. Who asked the migrant workers to return to their native places? Did they walk out or did they have to walk out? No one knows. No one asks. No work. Their on site homes had to be emptied at once. No electricity, no water, no food, no money. The attention men at work signboards lay in the dust. The many men, many women, many children just walked down roads and highways. All transport stood like statues as they walked past the buses, trucks, trains. No one asked them to stay at home during lockdown. They were turned off their makeshift homes as they could not work from home. Those who stayed indoors during the lockdown walked on treadmills, jogged on balconies, saw pristine river waters flowing effluent free, bird calls, peacocks on highways, a racing deer, green grass, green trees, blue skies, sighting of the snowy peaks and the sound of relative silence, bonding with family, playing with children, watching TV, movies, web series, video games, rarely books. Many spoke of kitchen work, gym at home, yoga and aerobics, and the routine sport of violent domestic spat. While outside their sliding glass windows, outside their air conditioned homes, the specter of hunger stalked the jobless workers walking home. Half fed, unfed, sizzled by the fury of the tropical summer, they are still walking towards the shelter called home. This free shelter called home is their only refuge. Their tired footsteps echoed like drumbeats in the heart. Their vacant, hurt eyes, parched lips ask, My Lord, are we citizens or are we refugees in our own country? So I will go on to the next poem. And this, of course, is a poem that I have read many times. And it is a feminist poem. It's called Lakshmi Unbound. I'm just wondering because here I don't think you are familiar with this one. So I'll just read it. Lakshmi Unbound. Don't call me Lakshmi. I can't ever be Lakshmi. I want to fly kites. I want to climb trees. I want to read and write. I want to sing and dance. I want to climb mountains. I want to swim in the seas. I want to do what I like whenever I like. I want to be mad. I want to be bad. I can't be in corners of four-wall spaces. I can't be in eddies. I want to flow in the mainstream. I want to be in whirlpools. I want to roam and run. I want to eat fruits from trees. I want to drink to the last drop the juice of grapes. I want to cook for myself. I want to dream. I want to pace the rainbow arch in a spectacular hallucination. I can't be Lakshmi. I will ever fail this endurance test. I have to speak, I have to cry, I have to scream, I have to laugh, I have to swim in rivers. I cannot swim in pools. I want to fly like an eagle, I want to glide like a feather. I will forever fail this endurance test. I have flung off the sellotape on my lips. I will sing the freedom song. I may not be Lakshmi, but I am. I just can't be Lakshmi. I have to break the silence. My wealth is not jewels. My wealth is my gypsy spirit. I can't be Lakshmi. I can't be good, sane, silent Lakshmi. I can't be the angel in someone's house. I don't want to be a disembodied spirit. I don't want to be Lakshmi. I am a Lakshmi. Track me if you can. Thank you. And now I'll go to the thank you. And now I will go over. Can I read Dhoti Dance, Jadip?
Yes, yes, Didi. That's wonderful poem. We should. Yeah.
All
And
right.
many are post-colonial scholars here. So I
Okay.
think they
So Dhoti Dance really, the inspiration came from a movie called Chennai Express. Many of you must have watched it, but you may not admit about that. Yes. So, being intellectuals. So, yeah. So I thought, okay, but there was not only lungi, there was a time when there was a dhoti dance as well. So I thought, let me put it all together in this poem. Dhoti dance. Those were the days when it was not about twirling the mustache. It was not about dancing in nightclubs. It was not about challenging the choreographer. It was not about grabbing the chance to dance, 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 the lungi dance. There were no music and drums as the dhotis and saris danced down the streets to face the imperial rod of power. Soldiers striped their backs, soldiers handcuffed them, but they sat like boulders. It was the dance of satyagraha. It was a dance of non-violent non-cooperation that shook the foundations of the British Raj. The frail old man in a dhoti led the British such a dance that their pantaloons and pajamas slipped off as they pranced and danced. It was not chance pay dance. It was the determined dhoti dance. The youthful old man had choreographed the freedom dance. A nation danced to his tune. A nation danced towards freedom as Mohandas, Karamchand, Gandhi, the frail brown man in a capri dhoti, led the dhoti dance. So, all right. And so the last one, Jadip? Yeah. And
maybe couple more, one more, two,
one,
two, two more.
two more. Okay. All right. What about, okay, this one is, all right. Let me read the one which Boshidhara likes a lot. So, and because of our conversation, I even changed the title to Chipko, if you remember.
Chipko.
Okay. So Chipko is really about the Chipko Andolan, which happened in the 1970s, 1980s. And Bahuguna was one of the main leaders of that movement. But there were a number of women who really participated actively in the Chipko movement. And among them, there were a few who took on a sort of position unthinkable among village women, that they were the ones who became the leaders of the movement. So, this is the poem. That night, they did not sleep. Their men slept and snored. As they crept out of their huts, they giggled and whispered. They slowly walked towards their forest and its many tree gods, many secrets stored in the roots and branches, laughter and love in the rustle of leaves. The shark like jaws of the electric saws waited impatiently to fell them, to kill them. The timber mafia, the land grabbers, the illegal miners reveled in the murder of forests and trees. The women of the village each hugged a tree, clinging, embracing as securely as adhesive. They clung on in intimate union, embracing the tall, proud, silent trees like Radha clinging to Krishna. Cling on, dear sisters. Hug as tightly as if it's the last day of your lives. Chipko, Chipko, resonated the voice of their leader, Gaura Devi, as the women passionately clung to the trees like lovers, as women hugged the trees like mothers. No word or force could tear them away from their beloved trees. Thank you. All right, the final one then, and of course, probably it's good to have a title like Peace. Peace is a warm shawl in the sunless darkness of the serene womb. The first flash of light, the first cry, the first touch of hands, the first violence, the snipping of the cord. Peace is as fragile as a snowflake. Peace glistens like a drop of dew on a smiling leaf sunning itself. Peace surpasses all understanding. Peace lies at the heart of every outcry. Peace is stabbed each time as the knife enters the heart. Peace is in splinters as the bombs drop, guns fire, tanks roar, missiles zoom, drones drop precise death with diabolic accuracy. All is toxic everywhere. Landscapes are pregnant with landmines. The skies are darkened by the wings of vultures. The thunderous fighter planes advance like sharks. Yet, compassionate peace is an invincible, passionate warrior that nestles at the core of being. It sprouts like leaves of grass on the charred wastelands of Kurukshetra and Troy, Vietnam, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and Palestine. Peace that truly surpasses all understanding. Peace that truly surpasses all understanding. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Sanjukta Di. That was a very, very beautiful and a very serene close to a very wonderful, compact talk on Indian English writing, on the importance and the creative rewriting of English as a project that all of us as writers are engaged in. Thank you very much for such a beautiful evening, for setting the tone for poetry, for a search for peace. Let us begin with the idea of peace. And to carry this forward, we would invite one by one our GIEWEC poets to read. And since Sudarshan K. Cherry sir has an important engagement very shortly, we will kindly disrupt the order and begin with him. So Sudarshan K. Cherry sir, I would kindly invite you to read your poem and begin this session.
Thank you, Vasudharaji. Let me express my deepest gratitude to Professor Dedeep Sarangiji, my bro, who brought me to literature. He is the one who forced me to enter to literature. And wherever we will go, and we will bring some kind of news, not only in India, all over the country, he usually go around and force me to enter to literature. So he is making me, not made me, making me, because it's a continuous process. Again, Professor Dominic. And whatever the little boy bro I used to do here and there, do and collect somewhere, and he made me as some boy bro initiator. Another Madam Sanjukta, Madam Ji told me about the English. There was a lot of fighting between American English, British English, and Indian English. So I made into phenomenal literature. English is bridging the gap between all this, and English should be the phenomenon and phenomenally supporting and integrating the world through literature. It should be phenomenal literature. I started a journal also. Another thing. Now I have another program for having all this subjects in me. I just composed because a paradigm to another paradigm, which is scriptocentrically all gods took birth, all goddesses also. Now I don't have goddess or goddesses, I have being and beyonding. Obviously, beyonding words might be new to all professors. I'm helpless. I wanted to use beyonding. So being and beyonding on the basis of the subject, let me have poipro. Either it's a poem nor a poetry. So it is integrated to two things to one. Prose and poetry in one is poipro. Let me have. O Supreme Being, the primordial seed that you had sown has grown up to a tree that has blossomed, has borne fruits, has given shelter, has danced in the spring, has suffered the harsh winter, but has again become green. The cycle continues and the tree still evolving. It is time we all leave behind the past, seeking patterns and trends, commonalities and universalities. Stop looking outwards and look within and look for a greater synthesis, going beyond from the heart of darkness to the divine light through integration and unification, seeking your blessings, O Supreme Being. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for setting the tone, carrying forward the anthem of peace.
Once again, I have to express gratitude to you. You are the pillar of those who are seeking the digicentric delivery, the virtual delivery. You are above from all these processes because we are helpless without you. So, because I'm a worshipper of this paradigm which is digicentrism, not scriptocentrically driven and oriented, because that might be the reason I use being and beyonding. And once again, gratitude to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We will now proceed in the order that has been through which we have previously proceeded, that is in alphabetical order. And I would next invite Dr. Alexander Raju to present his poems before us. Over to you, sir. Is Alexander Raju here? If not, we will pass this over. We'll wait for him to come. Anisha Ghosh. May we have Anisha Ghosh?
Yes, I'm there.
Anisha is here.
Yes. Over to you, Anisha.
Okay, thank you, Vasundhara. All right, good evening, everybody. And I cannot begin without saying gratitude to the Almighty for this lovely Vespertine gathering of such wonderful poets and my long-time association with GIEWEC. So, yes, and since it's December and Santa brought me a broken foot, he also brought broken hearts to many. And this poem that I'm going to read today is an ode for all of those who are struggling to find their way through why love eludes them. So it's a spoken word poem, and without further ado, I would like to go straight into it. The title is When Love Eludes. When you miss a shot at love 7.9 billion times and still counting, maybe the other 7.9 billion minus one in the world missed it too. Maybe love was sitting on the next table an hour ago, having their cappuccino, and left before you came in for your latte. Maybe love is always in a different time zone, watching the sunrise from the hilltop while you are setting the alarm for 5 a.m. next morning in your cozy apartment. Maybe love is on the other side of the equator, or just across the street, who knows? Maybe love crossed your house, bumped into you in the shopping mall. Maybe you disagreed on politics in a cafe, haggled over the last packet of your favorite cereals at the grocery store, shared an Uber ride back home, and nodded to your favorite song together, and yet knew not it was them. Perhaps love is always late, or you are a bit too early. Maybe they arrived after you left the party. Maybe you didn't wait long enough. Maybe they never made an effort to reach. Maybe you met, maybe you didn't, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe love will always take the same bus you miss every day till the end of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha, for a very, very tender and beautiful poem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We move over next to Ansulika. Ansulika, may I please ask you to present your poem?
Yeah, thank you so much. Good evening. Basudhara, am I visible and audible?
Yes, perfectly, perfectly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is always an honor to be part of this group. And the poem that I'm going to present is called Dilemma. His eyes open to a projection of himself in the white sky, blazed in colors unidentified. He embraces it all. He regrets nothing. He keeps his heart pounding to the unseen. He walks the shadows, the dews, the depths, owing a laughter to the earth. He falls, he shivers, he thrives, he stumbles. He glitters, he exuberates, he reverberates, he mumbles. He is the dream, the desire to be. He is aspiration, the everlasting. He looks to the sky, he walks to the moon, he winks to the sun, he is draped in dawn. He is the story which I bent to write. He is the love which I have applied. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ansulika, for a very beautiful poem. Do we have Professor K. Babu Joseph with us? I think not. In which case, we will move over to S. Bharati ma'am. Bharati ma'am, may we have your poem?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Basutara. And first of all, I would like to record my sincere thanks to all the members of GIEWEC for boosting my morale and encouraging me constantly. And special thanks to Dr. K.V. Dominic. It is he who reminded me of sending a poem for today's reading. So I was thinking what to write, and then, from what I had gone through these days, I started with hopelessness and then finally ended with a ray of positive note. So my poem is titled as Night. My passion is the dusk house. There stood a late scaramouche. You warned me about the scaramouche. An echo murmured back the bird. Only this, and yesterday there stood a post-meridium Z, remembering many late past antimacassars, redacting and redacting with my downstairs, my dining room. I could not awaken. The downstairs namaz dancing, the ground floor galley gambling. I discovered the negligees, remembering my downstairs low nighters. Back into my memories, mid-morning, I once again craved the post-meridium at pre-dawn. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Bharti ma'am. Thank you very much for a wonderful piece. I would next like to call upon Bhaskar Roy Burman, sir. Bhaskar sir, you'll have to unmute. So you'll have to unmute, Bhaskar sir. Sir seems unable to unmute. Can anyone help him?
Now, are you hearing me then?
Yes, now you're perfectly clear. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, before begin reading my poem, just I thank first of all Dr. Sharangi on enlightening us on the development and expansions of our forum. Then Dr. Sanjukta Dasgupta for enlightening us on the different aspects of Indian English poetry. And we have my knowledge has been enriched by their speeches, and I thank them and I thank Dr. Dominic for giving me the opportunity of presenting a paper. The title of my paper is Break in the Rhythms of Life. When the earth itself looked exhausted, revolving round the sun, when a bumblebee looked tired of humming around a turned leaf, when a few fishermen looked fed up of mending their nets, and when the fish were leaping and playing in the river at the delight of not being caught, yonder on a field a serpent was shedding its laugh, indifferent to a group of women wending their way across the field, and to a peddler crying their wares along the road parallel to the field. At this moment is as usual, a boat rolled in and disgorged two men onto the bank. A music strummed on a violin floated in the air for a while, then rose up and disappeared into the sky. Presently, the men returned empty-handed to the boat and winked at the boatman to row away. Suddenly, the sky got covered over with dark clouds. The fishermen looked up and thought there would be festivities of lightning. The river danced madly to the rumblings. They, the fishermen, prayed for the safety of the man on the boat. In response to their prayer, the clouds disappeared away across the sky. The fishermen resumed mending their nets. The bumblebee went on humming round the turned leaf, and the fish were still leaping and playing in the river. But the serpent had set its laugh and still slid into its hole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhaskar sir, for joining us all the way from Tripura. Thank you very much for this
Thank
wonderful
you.
piece. I'm supposed to be the one reading next, so I'll just read a poem. And I chose to read this because Sanjukta Di is here. As a Tagore scholar, it would be an honor for me to present this poem before her. So this is how the poem goes. It's titled Case for a Canine. For most of the castaway, they keep grieving for that young boy, that shipwrecked theatre fellow who played Radha for Kiran, even stole an inkstand to give voice to his socially immaterial angst, and ultimately got left behind, as was obvious. The story is his, they say. The dog is just a symbol. I find myself walking through that canine's dreams and feel the thought of first love, the getting and losing of a master, the bliss of a brief but beautiful sleep, and the misery of waking to a void, empty perhaps even in dreams. I do not know if Nilkanta found a home or built one. The dog, I'm told, still searchingly wanders. Thank you. I would like to call upon Dimple Theophilos for her presentation next. Dimple, may we have you?
Yeah, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, all. Here I would like to present my poem titled with Till Your Blood Flowed Down. Let us, you fetch in life, build a garden evergreen, where blossoms never shrink, colors never fade, and smells ever stays indeed. Your garden needs you more, till your blood flowed down. You are a warrior valiant, not a prophet of valor, your voice. Failure faced by brave, calm blow alters uneven. Themis folded her side, will opened by folk in the field. You, the who you are, trigger your light, grab the letter next. Every seed you strain sports your stain. Fire, higher life, to build the garden ever shine. Where blossoms never fall, colors never peel off, and smell ever linger long. Your garden needs you only till your blood flowed down. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimple. Thank you very much for a beautiful piece. I would next call upon Dominic sir to read his poem.
Thank you, Dr. Basdeda. The title of my poem is Cry Not, My Daughter. It is a feminist poem, very short poem. Cry not, my daughter, wipe your tears. Your journey has only begun. Miles and miles to voyage alone through tempestuous ocean of grief. Your tears can never quench the desert minds. Cry not, my daughter, when wolves snarl at you. This world is full of wolves and vultures. None is there to drive them away. Let lamb in you rouse as lion and charge at them, lest they tore you to pieces. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominic sir. Thank you very much. I would next call upon Jaideep sir for his poem.
Thank you for a wonderful evening of poetry. Fall from my temple. If thou canst ascend these steps, die on that marble where thou art. John Keats. In the retreating light of the day, my prayers for the poets connect with the open sky. How does one lose things? By forgetfulness? How does a poet die mounting the steps to an altar? Figures arrive and go before the fated hour. These bricks seem to be watching. the hard ways of love and loss, devotees coming and going, keeping our separate hopes alive. I see the wan smile, not pinned by human fevers and frets. Daily rust reigns in my forest town whisper over the roadside fields, forest scream. Meaning of her face lurks in meaningless efforts to raise sterile desires in the crowless silence in search of another prayer day. The endurable sight of Kanakdurga remains, a voice that heals all pains of the world. I sit down here after a Hamlet song, in old gestures, in the reverent light, hands folded, hands folded, for promises to mount some steps tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a beautiful piece. And we move over next to Kavita Gopalakrishnan.
Thank you so much for this beautiful evening. My poetry is titled as Overture to Hope. In these pandemic times, I thought this is the best poetry to recite today. Hopes I carry in wings melt, flight, time yet again, and I'm back to those labyrinthine alleys. Dusk sets in, and I flounder about for quite some time. Lo, pitch darkness all around, and toes now entrenched into avaricious quicksand, not a sprig in sight. Lone moon glaring back quizzically, strokes of life glided past in 2x. My lips quivered and I sang blurred tunes. And then my ears turned into those notes of a requiem that glided in from nowhere. Unacquainted tongue, it seemed, but the sonata in quaint rabbinic Hebrew led me along, blurring the pearls and lending every passing hour a different hue. Dyed in these hues of love, I see all those penumbras I once hoped to see. A starry canopy now shines above me, and I hear an overture to a blessed concert. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kavita, for a beautiful piece. Uh, do we have Manas Bakshi here? If not, we will go over to Molly, ma'am. Molly Joseph, over to you.
Thank you, dear Dr. Basundara. Yes, we are listening to those wonderful, rich, variegated voices, dwelling upon the devastations that had happened, but the sparks of hope that have been lit up. In my case, last 3 months have been very harsh with me. Not to say about the weather, kind of, these days we are experiencing hot, sultry weather, whereas a week or two back, we were having intense rains causing floods. Everything going topsy-turvy. So that is the theme of my poem when the year is going to its tapering end. And the only thing is, we can raise our hearts to Lord. We need you, Lord. This December, denuded of its cool comfort. Untimely rains that wrought havoc, upsetting the apple cart. Morns begin with a weary summer feel. Slowly it thickens, the heat. Where are you, Lord? Born as the innocent babe in the manger, while snowflakes fell and earth went in goosebumps with a cold shiver, experiencing heaven on earth. Lord, where are you? Here on arid plains, we await you. Come with your cool caress, your soft touch of solace. Here we burn in cauldrons, suffering. Purge us with your gracious advent, O Lord. Shower your sprinkles of grace over us, the nascent buds, wilting, withering in the heat. More than ever, we need you now, oh my Lord. Thank you, dears. Happy being with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly ma'am, for a very hopeful poem. I would next like to call upon Padma Priya, S. Padma Priya.
Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. And I thank everyone. Let me read my poem, Street Lights. Street lights, bright as shining eyes, seem to see so far and wide. What a beautiful sight, these street lights. I look at the street lights, listening to the music of the skies. I sleep as if awake and awaken in the midst of sleep. Sleep and dreams, life and death, all seems mixed up in this azure world, where shadows get voices and voices become shadows, where the black and blue mingle like idleness and work. Poetry is written to the accompaniment of thunderous clouds and contemptuous falling rain, clashes and lightnings. The orange-yellow street lights beam like golden setting suns. The night sky blushes. The stars hide in shame. Street lights on earth are brighter than the stars in the heavens. Thank you.
Thank you, Padma Priya ma'am. I would next like to call upon Dr. Poonam Nigam Sahai from Ranchi. Poonam ma'am, may we have you? Poonam ma'am, can you hear us? In that case, may we have Dr. Sangeeta Mahesh? Dr. Sangeeta Mahesh? Ma'am, you have to unmute, Sangeeta ma'am.
Okay. Thanks,
Yes.
Vasudhara Di. And good evening, everybody. The poem am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Perfect.
Okay. So the poem I am going to read is titled as Tolerance for Difference. Sky is not like earth. Sky is not like earth and day is not like night. All entities of nature are not alike, but are essential elements and the charm of the universe. Beauty in diversity. Beauty in diversity. The universe is beautiful in its multifarious colors. Colors scattered everywhere. Flowers, yellow, red, and pink. Blue sky, plants, brown and green. We love this splendor. Then why can't we bear when the people differ? People tall, short, dark, or fair, with black, golden, or white hair. All are his beautiful creations. None is superior or inferior. All fruits and vegetables differ in nutrients and taste. People too have many beliefs, opinions, and traits. We should respect all instead of doing hate. We should respect all instead of doing hate. God has created all unique. God has created all unique, gifted with unique traits and minds. Some like science, some like art and literature, Some like music and sports. Some are devoted to theatre. How could we relish and enjoy? How could we relish and enjoy the contributions of these minds and souls had God created all in the same mold? Respecting difference is respect to God. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for a valuable lesson. Our next poet is Shibashish Jana.
Good evening, everybody. It's a proud privilege to present my poem in front of our GIEWEC members and especially in front of our respected Sanjukta ma'am. So the name of my poem is Ode to the Farmers. When I have gone to my native land, in my village home, I see the farmers always working in the field in the scorching rays of the sun and in the stormy weather, in the lightning. So I think that they are working every moment of time without any kind of stake. And after that, we see about that they are the creators. I think about that they are the creators and they are creating. So I wrote the poem, Ode to the Farmers. O the honorable farmers, I salute thee for such precious productions and creations and food industry. From morn to dusk, from Boishaki to Choitali, the work and worship in the scorching rays of the sun, in the torrential rains, in the stormy lightning drama, among the auroras of light and plutonic darkness. Thou plough, thou land, thou plant thy seed, thou whisper with Devi Lakshmi, Prajapati Brahma, thou give marriage to the land and the sun. I adore thee, the master of all creative cultivations, the PhD in agricultural statistics, the DLIT in physical, geographical laws. I love thee, my Lord, the crusader of all the sorrows and sufferings, the preserver of all the eternal calamities, the rescuers of all the dangerous elements and biodiversity. Thy field, thy world, thy land, thy heart, thy seed, our soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubhashish, for a very meaningful poem. We have Dr. Poonam is back with us, so I would request Dr. Poonam Nigam Sahai to present a poem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vasudhara. Thank you. And a very good evening to all the GIEWEC members over here. And it's been a lovely meeting and hearing lovely poetry by all the members. Yes. So I recite my poem. This is Home. Tossed like a raft over tumultuous seas, heaving and writhing over waves of despair, misfortune, and misery, of endless uncertainty and doubt, my hope travels forth determinedly. It crosses whirlpools of dilemma, quivering in its anticipation, eddying and ebbing over false illusions, but tarrying not by such false display. I cannot stop. I cannot stop. I gotta go. Oh, leave my way. It hums its own gentle song as it shoots forth as an arrow and keeps all who dare mess at bay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for a very lovely piece.
So much.
I would next like to call upon Sridharan sir to present his poem.
Thank you, everyone. And this is a wonderful day, and the evening is made marvelous. Yes, Dr. Sundaraji and Dominic ji and Jaydev ji and everybody who have their words in their heart and spontaneity in action. Okay, thank you. My poem goes like that. The principle of dharma. Principle of dharma. The tiger and deer is at an arm's distance. The tiger and deer is at an arm's distance.
Beauty of illustrations widen the mission. Truth with tranquility attire the words to travel from the heart to heart with a filled up souls. Spirituality in human embrace love. Atmosphere of spontaneity compelled to live. Calculations do not go awry as they move. Coexistence of mankind made everything above. Loneliness paves the ways pure. Loneliness gives the incidents maximum cure. Alas, one sees the element of faith in words, glittering it ushered in different moods. Who can predict the paths are soft? Who can predict the paths are soft? Who can count the palpitations right? Appetite created cannot destroy the creator. Amplifier cannot make mute the orator. Being the reader, enjoy the narrative skill. Being a writer, enthusiastic to see the will. Bearing in mind with a golden cap, hearing the voice with a nationalist at top. With a nationalist at top. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sridharan sir, for a wonderful poem. I would next like to call upon Srilata ma'am to present her poem.
Good evening, all of you. First of all, I would like to convey my advanced wishes for Christmas and New Year to all the GIEWEC members. And now I would like to read my poem. The title is I Am Not Afraid. I wrote this poem because sometimes I fell down because of this. I felt very low because of the pandemic and how many families were disturbed due to many serious loss. So, but still, when I looked into myself, I thought there are many things which really give us some courage and confidence. The poem goes like this. Piety of the soul present in me entirely occupies the whole and spheres divinely. When all duty is performed virtuously, why should I feel insignificant and afraid? Family is ever ready to guard and guide. Ethics of life enable to think hard and wide. When faculties in right vigor give me pride, why should I feel inferior and feel afraid? Society and acquaintances, my real strength. Erudition and tradition, my length and breadth. When prudence steers my demeanor at length, why should I feel desolate and afraid? Father's patting hand in my mother's absence made me rejuvenated in spirit and strength. But when his loss was caressed by the providence, why should I feel susceptible and afraid? My history and epics make me stand tall. My self-reliance held my head above all. When my heritage prevents me from any fall, why should I feel vulnerable and afraid? I pray to God to sympathize and let off my foe, to mend his malicious mean mind being low. But when my soldiers never any pity show, why should I feel insecure and afraid? Righteous I am all through my precious life. Courteous I am to empathize and avoid strife. Gracious I am to eradicate hatred that is right. Then why should I feel anxious and afraid? Thank you very much for your patience here.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Srilata ma'am, for a wonderful poem.
Thank you.
And if Dr. Vijay Kumar Roy is not with us, then with this we have come to an end of our reading session.
One second. Kasturi Shiva Prasad is here. He would like to read his poem.
Yes, certainly, sir. We invite you to read your poem.
Please kindly unmute, Prasad.
I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to read my piece in deep regret over the departure of Sri Bipin, the Chief of CDS, who offered excellent service to the nation through chief participation in the activities of combined defense forces. The poem is Soldier the Great Whale Art Too. The soldier whose exhalation and inhalation chant Bharat, who dreams about and lives in, chats and discusses her at all times and with all, arrests the countrymen and seems alien to enemies. And I saw to China, the dearly loving son of Mother India, the unassailable enemy to foreign foes, and surveillance both nocturnal and diurnal for mother's safety. Eternal breath in the width and breadth of hers, the dearly loving son we are proud of. The sun Indian history allots a warm room for. The sun, the bright stars, both in the west and in the east, forever remember. Sri Bipin, the chief of CDA, we all bow before with tearful adieu. On this occasion, I once again thank Gupta ma'am, Dr. K.V. Dominic sir, and all the dignitaries on this visual platform for having given me this chance to read the poem that is a clear expression of my grief over the departure of the chief of CDS. Thank you.
Thank you. We would next like to call upon M. Annamalai to present a poem.
Good evening to everyone. My poem starts. The title is "A Country Whose." It's not a finite title. It's infinite. That is a country whose ... Okay. Frail and fragile, a country whose offspring are not sound. Stumpy and ungroomed, a country whose students are not sanguine. Awkward and lubberly, a country whose curricula are not forthright. Breezy and superficial, a country whose pedagogues are not profound. Potholes and pitting, a country whose roads are not safe. Drunken and reckless, a country whose drivers are not safe. Rattling and worn out, a country whose vehicles are not safe. Uncouth and dirty, a country whose coaches are not safe. Rotten and rude and clumsy, a country whose politics are not right. Unwilling and abhorring, a country whose intertwinement is not firm. Staggering and feeding, a country whose institutions are not visible and viable. Barbaric and boorish, a country whose secularism is not true. Unruly and haphazard, a country whose civics are not fixed. Fidgeting and yielding, a country whose laws are not stiff. Bending and stooping, a country whose prowess is not valiant. Sinking and stuttering, a country whose tradition is not valid. Yet, pride and faithful, a country whose laces are treasures. Bright and blithe, a country whose damsels are beacons. Giving and serving, a country whose ventures are providence. Pleasing and enduring, a country whose women are but devout. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for concluding this session with a very, very powerful poem. I would next call upon Dr. Joji John Panikkar to kindly present a few words.
Good evening, everyone. It has been a pleasurable evening listening to all the wonderful poems which were presented. Since joining the GIEWEC family, it has been a tradition for me to write a poem while the other poets, other honorable poets are presenting their poem. And this year also I haven't changed that tradition. In fact, Jaideep ji asked me to present a poem. I usually don't give my poem before the presentation sessions. I usually scribble my poems while listening to others who are presenting it. So I've done that today also. I would like to read that poem and wish everyone a happy time. My poem is titled The Pain of Understanding. Breaching the comfort zones, forgetting the thought frames, giving explanations sans logic. To the ones who seek clarifications, I tend to forget the reality, finding solace in fake identity. Raindrops keep falling on empty vessels, making noises. Raindrops keep falling on empty vessels, making noises. Empty winds blowing, shifting the sea within me. I never knew how I hid the passions and secrets of my heart. So quiet was the entry into the valleys of my heart. Till then it was loneliness, and loneliness persists still, carving my heart with pain, the pain of understanding. Understanding leads to freedom, freedom to a willful denial. Denial of what one treats so dear, shattering the heart again and carving it with pain, the pain of understanding, the pain of understanding. Wishing you all a very happy Christmas and a very happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was a beautiful bonus poem for all of us. And I think Dominic, sir, has something to say.
Yeah. I will request Professor Ayyappa Raja and Dr. Kumaran. Both of our esteemed committee members. I would request them to speak a few words. Dr. Kumaran, kindly speak a few words about our meet.
Shall I, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Dominic, sir, and then esteemed members of Professor Dr. Jaydeep, sir, and esteemed member of GIEWEC family. Really, that it's a great evening of literary feast. Really, I enjoyed the whole session of poetry reading, and starting from, in fact, authors group, Sudarshan Ji, and then up to that, my good friend Joji says wonderful poem. I really enjoyed that all the poems which you have read today, and then various aspects related to patriotism, and then eco-consciousness, and then feminism, and then elegy to General Robert, and then really that amazing to see. Even my good friend Jena Sibasis has made that ode to the farmer. Molly Joseph ma'am related to that ecological concerns, the changings, Anisha ma'am, and then Poonam ma'am, Patnapriya ma'am, Sridharan sir, really that enjoyed a lot. All your poems that made me to thoroughly get that feast. I'm brimmed with that joy now, having that a sumptuous dinner. In fact, I had that literary dinner. Really that I enjoyed the session. Speechless, in fact, that thank you so much, dear Professor Jaydeep sir and then Professor Dominic sir for having the opportunity to observe a few words at this August gathering. Thank you, one and all.
Dr. Kumaran, are you here? Hello, Dr. Kumaran? Dr. Elangovan? Dr. Elangovan? Do you want to speak a few words?
Good evening to my fellow poets. It was really a very enjoyable moment for me to listen to all the poets. Actually, I too wanted to present a poem in this meet, but since I had some other preoccupations, and I haven't written anything fresh for the last few months, I just wanted to refresh myself by listening to the poems. And now I feel that once again my creative would definitely become a fresh and new one by listening to the poems, because it is always a very enjoyable one to listen to the poems and get the kind of spirit and the kind of love and affection that we all have for Indian writing in English, representing the various moments and movements of our varied lives in this vast country. But definitely, I'm sure that I would like to present my poem in the next meet. And till then, thank you for giving me this opportunity, Dr. Dominic sir and Dr. Jaydeep and my good friends, Dr. Ayaparaja and Joji sir. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think Dr. Kumaran is not present.
Not, yeah.
Okay. Then we will continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, we are almost at the end of a very fascinating session, and we will formally move over to the vote of thanks from the President. Over to you, Jaideep sir.
Thank you. And it's wonderful, nothing better than that. That is, the meet ends with a voice from Madurai, the city of temples, by Elangavan, our great friend. And the reading started on the foothills of the Himalaya, Shiliguri, by Anisha. And the reading ended with Joji to famous college, Kottayam. So it covered from the Himalayas to the extreme part of Kerala. And in between, it flew to Tripura and to other parts of India. That is the beauty of GIEWEC. And I'm so glad and fortunate to have some very noble minds of the country, and poets and noble minds, of course. Poets are always soul makers, and everybody is so energetic and so humane, and we stand by each other. It's like a family, wonderful India family. And so I remain grateful to all of you. I bow down my head to all relationships that we all stitch every time. Thank you so much. I take this opportunity to have a common prayer for Dr. Dominic's wife's ensuing operation in day after tomorrow. And she is going for knee operation, knee replacement. So our prayers, collective prayers for, because she is also an inspiration for GIEWEC. She traveled with Dominic, she traveled with GIEWEC, and day after tomorrow she is going for an operation. And our wholehearted prayers for very speedy recovery of her knees. Dominic sir, please convey our prayers to your wife and our esteemed member. And no word is sufficient to our honorable chief guest of today's evening, Professor Dr. Sanjukta Dasgupta, and for many of us, Sanjukta Di. Thank you, Sanjukta Di. And this is a customary that Sanjukta Di stays back the whole session where she is invited. Now see, she is still now present. And that is the beauty, that is what we want to take up, and possibly we'll pass it on to our next generation also. Sanjukta Di means a source, a Gangotri of inspiration for all of us. Thank you all GIEWEC poets. Remain busy, remain creative, and feel the aroma of creativity always you do carry. And all of you are making the GIEWEC family very, very special. Thank you, Vashudhara, for taking the burden of love. Thank you, Dominic Ji, for all the hard work that you take and put GIEWEC family into its own wheels. Thank you, each and everyone who have participated, and thank those who could not participate but had the willingness to participate. And I really think that GIEWEC could contribute a lot to Indian writing in English, promotion of Indian writing in English, and boosting the spirit of creativity to all of us and to others in our society. Thank you, everybody. Wish you happy, Merry Christmas, and happy, prosperous, virus-free 2022. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjukta Di. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Steve.